Hi, good morning, welcome. This is a brand new week, and we come to you once again with news behind the news. This is R.N. Bhaskar from BKBB, an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein, a channel that brings you every week policy analysis, conversations, and business stories. But right now, as I mentioned, it's news behind the news. We take a few headlines and we analyze them. And today, we have some interesting headlines, and my co-anchors are Katya. Welcome, Katya. Good to have you. Husaina, nice to have you as well. And last but not least, Aparna, glad to have you here. And all the three will discuss the following titles here. The first title that we're going to discuss is Kotak versus ICICI. What should the minimum balance be? The second one, again, all these stories are very interesting. The second one is on how the government wants procurement through the government electronic market for state governments, not for itself. And the third one is equally interesting of how policy decisions are taken without even a bit of study. Anyway, let's go to the first story. The first story is by Katya. Katya, can we have you?
So we know that ICICI dropped a bomb last week. So they have increased the minimum balance requirement by 5 times. It was earlier 10,000 and it has now gone to 50,000. Now this has got a huge backlash both social media and everywhere else. But what is interesting is Jay Kotak. Jay Kotak is the head of Kotak 811. He's also the son of Uday Kotak, who owns Kotak Mahindra Bank. He said that this is not democratic. Banking has to be for everybody. And he also pointed out that 90% of India makes less than 25,000 per month. He added. So actually, the average lower middle class salary is at 19,000 is what we have established earlier in many of the shows here as well. So in that sense, he is right. So this banking, ICICI Bank is going to now alienate a lot of these people who will not be able to maintain minimum balance. Now, what is it? So it has to be the average minimum balance. So you don't have to maintain this amount at one point in time, but certain amount of money has to come in so that there is an average minimum balance of it. So your banking account should be worth so much. By the way, this is only for urban and metros. So the rules are again different for rural accounts, etc., which is a financial inclusion part. So every other bank, top bank like HDFC, Axis Banks, etc., have it at 10,000, but ICICI has charged a different path. Now, will this actually give more impetus for small finance banks, which are hungry for deposits, hungry for accounts, and they're hungry for growth as well? Get a bigger path. Considering last week itself, AU Small Finance Bank got a universal banking license. What do you think, sir? What do you think about the whole issue anyway? Actually, I just also want to point out Jay Kotak is the head of 811. We charge zero balance accounting. So it could not just be an ideological issue. It is also a way of plugging and marketing their service.
Absolutely. Kotak follows a different marketing strategy catering to the large number of banks customers, including zero balance customers. The government has encouraged zero balance accounts because of its rural entitlement schemes, etc., etc. The first question is, must a bank which is private, not government owned,
Right.
must a bank follow government norms of keeping zero balance for certain accounts? Ultimately, there's a cost to service. If the government is not paying the banks for the service they offer, then the government has no right to ask private banks and foreign banks. I remember foreign banks, and I don't want to mention names, but I had an account. I was a premium customer. From 5 lakhs of deposit, suddenly they said I have to raise it to 7.5 lakhs. And I said, no, I'll walk out. Banks have to decide what level of service they want to offer. And ICS has decided that it wants to go premium. If it offers better service, it'll take the premium accounts from all the other banks to itself. And its studies show that maybe it'll benefit from this strategy of giving superior service, which is not affordable with low balance accounts. Because the banks also have a cost. Every bank follows a strategy. This is ICICI Bank strategy. There's nothing about being democratic or not democratic. It's a business strategy. You decide whether you want to be with the bank or not with the bank. And Kotak is right in its strategy. ICICI is right in its strategy. Kotak, of course, worries that all his premium accounts will go away.
Right.
ICICI says, look, this is the way I work.
Mm.
So let's see
True.
what happens. But it's very interesting how banks are now uh, plowing a separate path for themselves. Thanks, Katya. Brilliant story. Excellent work. Okay, we go to another controversial story, controversial in a different way. And could we have you, Hussaina?
So the government e-marketplace or GeM is a digital platform, as we know, launched in 2016, and essentially the aim was to streamline public procurement across India. And what it does is that it brings together all government departments and agencies to purchase goods and services through a single portal. So over the last 9 years, it has facilitated over 3 crore orders, which totals around 14.81 trillion. And essentially, government says that this particular portal is out there to make the process more transparent and efficient. Now, despite this success, the adoption of GEM by state government has been slower than expected. In last financial year, only about 10.5% of all government procurement, which worth around 5.42 trillion, was made using these portals by states. And most states still prefer their own procurement system rather than fully using GEM. And out of 29 states, only 8 states, and most of them being ruled by the ruling party, which includes Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Gujarat, have mandated that all procurement must happen exclusively through GEM. And of course, Uttar Pradesh leads the way and it accounts for nearly 30% of all state level procurement, which again is about worth around 57,200 crore. Other states like Maharashtra and Gujarat have also contributed significantly. Now, the very reason why state governments are little restrained in going ahead with this particular portal is that they believe that shifting procurement to the GEM platform might affect local sellers. So, according to Mihir Kumar, who is the CEO of GEM, says that around 2.35 million sellers that were already registered nationwide, and many of these are micro and small enterprises. To put that in context, according to him, nearly 37% of this procurement value has been from micro enterprises. So, though government is pushing, saying that GEM is out there to create a more efficient, accountable system, it has been criticized on various grounds. One of the concern is about local businesses. The another concern is about the quality and manipulation by the government. So, what do you think? What are your insights on this?
The idea is good. The idea is to have a common platform for all commodity purchase, whether it's agriculture or non-agricultural. But the government itself, the central government in agriculture, has banned more items than any other government from being procured through an electronic mandi, or where the prices can be controlled, can be discovered through an electronic mandi. The same thing with this one. You have a price discovery, but you are not based on quality. There must be a pre-qualification bid. You need to make sure that whoever comes into this platform has to have quality. And a bigger question is, the government espouses great causes but does not follow them itself. If the government believes in the e-mandi or the e-procurement method, why is FCI allowed to go separately? Why can't FCI purchase all its grains through the electronic commodity markets, which is a variant of the GEM? The problem with the central government is it thinks a policy and makes it applicable to state governments, but not to itself. And this is the problem with many government policies. There's a lot of discrimination, a lot of bias, and that is the reason why it's not become very popular. But great story. I'm glad you highlighted it. And let's go to the third story. And the third story by Aparna, again, on a very interesting development.
Uh, the Commission for Air Quality Management, or CAQM, has admitted it's never actually done any research on the pollution caused by old vehicles, even though that's the main reason behind Delhi's NCR overage vehicle ban. This came out in response to an RTI filed by the environmentalist Amit Gupta. The CAQM says the ban on diesel vehicles older than 10 years and petrol vehicles older than 15 years isn't based on fresh studies, but on orders from the National Green Tribunal and the Supreme Court. Last month, enforcement was pushed back to the October 31. Why? The Delhi government said the high-tech automated number plate recognition cameras meant to spot these end-to-life vehicles are facing glitches, poor camera placement, malfunctioning sensors, and incomplete links to neighboring states' databases. And the numbers are big. Delhi has around 62 lakh vehicles, 41 of them are two-wheelers. Across NCR had another 44 lakh, especially in Gurugram, Faridabad, Ghaziabad, Gautam Buddha Nagar and Sonipat. The plan now is to start the fuel sale ban in those 5 districts from November 1 and expand it to the rest of NCR by April next year. Meanwhile, the Delhi government has even asked the Supreme Court to review its 2018 order on the ban. For now, one big question remains. If the science isn't there, is the ban still the best way to clean up Delhi's air? So, what do you think about it? What are your insights about it?
My fundamental point is what you've raised. How can you introduce any policy without a study? Are you working on whims? Gut feel? Policies must be carefully studied based on research. I mean, doing what demonetization did. I must have this, so I'll do it irrespective of what happens. This is the problem. Secondly, your electronic number plates, your new high gizmo technology number plates. Has the government studied how customers are given a receipt for about 50% of the amount they must actually pay? Where does the rest of the money go? I don't know. You bring in new technologies which don't work. You've not done a careful study. You don't give a minimum guarantee on service quality to customers and just collect money. These are the flaws with Indian policy making. And your example is one glaring example of a policy being introduced without a proper study. Thanks. Thanks a lot, Aparna. Good story and very important. And that takes me to the end of today's session. And before I go to question answers and to comments, let me remind you, as usual, that we'd like you to click the subscribe button if you've not clicked it already. Click the like button. It helps us immensely. But most of all, please tell all your friends and associates about us. We'd like to grow faster, and that helps us. And yes, now let me go to the questions which come in once again. And the first question is on banks. Ideally, one person says, there must be a correlationship between service and the price that customers will pay. Has the government brought in any such norms? I don't know. Let me see. What does Katya say?
RBI has its regulations on how service is supposed to be done. Like, they have to provide certain number of ATMs, etc., etc. That also is not followed very well. But, but irrespective of minimum balance, there are bank charges that are being cut from the bank account. So I do not think, there is nobody's holding them to the service as such. So this is my understanding of the whole issue.
Which means that that such regulations and norms and grading of service quality just doesn't exist to the government.
Right. When you call and nobody picks up or they don't respond, nothing is there.
Absolutely. One of the things that, Katya, since we're talking about banking, which frightened me is the auto debit scheme. Why can't I cancel an auto debit scheme? Overseas auto debit schemes can be cancelled by customers. In India, banks say, no, please go back to the place and then get the cancel from there. I am the account holder. It's my money. Give me the right over my accounts.
Right.
Anyway, and privately, RBI will tell you, yes, we think it's wrong, but we've not brought in the rules yet. Anyway, let's go to the next question. And it's the same question. What should the law? Should there be a law for minimum balance? No, there's no law. It all depends on the quality of service you offer and the marketing strategy you follow. There's no law. A third question is,
Also, not a bad idea to get rid of the dormant accounts also, sir. This law
oh
this
yes, dormant accounts, bogus accounts. Like
exactly.
for example, all the cyber crimes, the money is taken to accounts where the owners cannot be found.
Right.
Again, bogus accounts.
Yes, that's a good one.
Okay, let's take the next question. And the next question is on procurement. Procurement is good. Is there any way for the GM to work with just local procurement options so that the local manufacturers and producers benefit? Ideally, yes, it should be done. Ultimately, if a government's there, it would like to promote the manufacturers of its state. But if you're one country, you want the most efficient pricing to be discovered by the GM. It's not an easy decision. And that is why you normally have committees which first take into account the quality and the guarantees and the penalties that must be there if those norms are not maintained. We brought in a system without the rest of it. And that's unfortunate. And there's a third question, which is about the pollution norms in Delhi, which is a Aparna story. And the question is, can we penalize officers for introducing policies without study? Yes, ideally, yes. You must begin with the Prime Minister. What is demonetization? A policy without a study. And India has a habit of shooting from the hip, of working on whims. You cannot have good policy making without careful study. I agree with Aparna that this is wrong, and I agree with the question that people who bring in policies without proper studies should be penalized. Who's going to bail the cat? And that, in a way, takes me to the end of today's session. Thank you very much for being with us. And yes, do remember that we look forward to seeing you once again tomorrow. As for today, have a great day and have a wonderful week ahead. All the best. Take care.